Hey there. I know it's been a long time since you guys have seen me, and there have been lots of changes in my life. My focus has been on teaching now at kijanaunplugged.com. And what I'm going to do today is share with you guys the beginning of a series that I'm calling The State of Things. Originally, I was going to do a live or do a Google Meet and just share it with those who actually logged in, but I feel that this information is important. So what my intention is to share it with you guys in like maybe 10 to 15-minute increments. And we're going to be addressing things such as this reality, understanding this reality, what your role is in helping to change this reality, understanding that the attacks are now spiritual more so than physical. And pretty much they've always been spiritual. And it's going to be about how you guys, what you guys can do to change things, and that understanding that, you know how they be like, the revolution will not be televised, and then some say it will be televised per Kendrick, right? But what we're going to do is talk about how you guys can impact this reality without even speaking a word to another soul, because it has everything to do with you. And it's going to show you what your importance is in this reality, how we all subscribe to the things that are happening in this reality. And when we begin to change that, this reality will change. It's the same way that you manifest, only you're going to be doing it on a bigger scale. And if the more people that get involved with this, then the bigger it becomes and the more powerful it becomes. So whereas people have been lacking in taking back their power, you know how we allow certain things to just slide and then we just fall back into the rhythm of things. Well, this time we're going to change the rhythm, and um, we're going to march to a different beat, right? We're also going to be talking about AI, and so that you all really understand what's going on with AI. A lot of the information that I'm going to be sharing is going to be part from channels that I've done from my guides, the Council of 12, where they shared a lot of information about the AI and for you guys to understand it. And I was still getting downloads even as of this morning about the AI and the AI technology and everything. And so my goal is to basically to get you to think, to get you guys to think, and more so observe and understand the power of changing your perspective of things. So we want to change from being the sheep into being the wolves, and being the ones who actually initiate the change. And the power in being a master of things is that you don't tell what you're doing. You have the power to help change this reality just simply just by being you and doing certain things. I will be sharing more in detail about the changes that need to be made as individuals to impact the collective. So, yeah, so let's get into part one. And this first part is about being in a bad relationship, right? So the first thing I want you guys to understand is that this whole reality is based on fear. It's a fear-based reality. We are born into it. We agree to be born into it. Earth is not a punishment. It's actually a gift to actually have the ability to experience Earth, experience the emotional teachers, the masters, which are emotions, these guides that help us along in our journey. And basically, we have to have that foundation of fear in order to understand what love is. So through this whole process of experiencing this reality, if you take a moment and go back and look, to understand your life and how you were conditioned to fear. Some people were conditioned to fear their parents. Some people were conditioned to fear authority. It's like you put yourself under the rule of man when you were never meant to be ruled by any man, period, ever. So when you go back and you look at what you've agreed to participate in and to submit to in this reality, that is your foundation. That's the beginning of things. We can also look at our family and the foundation and how the family sets us up for the things that we need to heal from, which is part of our journey in this reality, and learning what's important for us in this reality, and how our presence will impact this reality. So understand that you were born into fear. You chose to be born into fear. And this reality had to have a foundation of fear in order for you to journey to love. Okay? Anything that we play a role in, that we acknowledge as part of our reality, is something that we said yes to. Anything that you play a role in that's a part of your reality, you said yes to. So when you have relationships that you consider to be adverse, you had to show up for that relationship to actually be a part of your reality. Any experience that you had to show up to it in order for it to happen, for you to experience it. Okay? Now, we're in what I call a bad relationship, right? So just think about a bad relationship. So in a relationship, there's usually someone that has power and control. There's one person that loves the other person more than the other, or it can be power or control through abuse, but there's always someone who has some type of power in the relationship, which leaves the other person longing, wanting to be seen, wanting to be loved. And let's say in this relationship, everything that the person that loves the most, that they want, they've been denied the whole time. So what does that create? It creates more wanting, more longing, more wanting to understand why they can't have this thing. Or let's say a person cheats, right? The person who loves least in the relationship, that they cheat, then the other person is trying to understand, why am I not good enough for them to love me? And then what winds up happening is the person who loves the most tends to bend over backwards, constantly trying to express and show how much they love this person. They're doing everything that they possibly can to prove, hey, I love you and I am worthy of your love. And the whole time the other person knows that to deny a person the very thing that they desire is a state of power and it's a state of control. It's like dangling a carrot that maybe an animal can't reach. Or even think about when you were a child and let's say somebody taller or older than you was playing with you and they held the toy high up in the air where you couldn't reach it. So then it was something that's a really good example of power and control, that I'm going to hold it just out of reach, but you're going to keep jumping and trying to get it, and you're going to get frustrated, and but you're just going to keep trying to understand, why can't I reach it, and trying to figure out a way to do it. So when you look at the indigenous people of Turtle Island, when you look at the melanated beings that live in the United States, they have been reaching for that carrot. They have been jumping. They have been doing everything to try to understand, why is it that we can't have reparations? Why is it that, where's our 40 acres and a mule? When will we be considered equal? Anything that you can possibly think of that could be going through a melanated person's mind who has been subjected to this dangling carrot all this time is happening. And all it is a sense of power and control. You have to look at the colonizers as they take and they steal. And it's like they're a parasite on this planet, because they go and destroy things. They rape the earth. They don't take technology just for the sake of benefiting the world. They take technology and attempt to control the world. They want to remain in control. And all of this is done in a state of power, of denial, is that we'll give you something and we'll take it away. We'll do something for you and then we'll take it away. Or we'll just keep dangling that carrot. And for example, like reparations have been paid to many, many, many beings from the United States. But why is it that they always deny the indigenous, the melanated, the original beings of this planet, the very thing that they are deserving of and more? Literally, this space, this United States was ours long before anybody else, in quote, colonized it. There were people here that were blue, black, the darkest of the dark, that were here already. And so instead of calling yourself native, you are indigenous to this land. You are the original people of this land. And just like so much history is being rewritten now, understand that the history has been rewritten, it has been hidden, but there are those who have the reserves and the knowledge, and they know the truth. And it is up to us to accept the truth and stand in our knowing in order for us to begin the change that we so desire. It has nothing to do with the colonizers. It has everything to do with us, which is like in a bad relationship. The person may consider, like, why am I staying in this relationship when it's so bad for me? Why is it that I keep going back to this person when this relationship is so difficult for me? I'm being abused in different ways, mentally, emotionally, physically, but I don't know what it is. I just keep going back. And literally, that's where all of the control is. And the moment that we stop going back, and the moment that we understand that literally every relationship that you have is a reflection of you in some capacity, ultimately showing you how you are not loving yourself. So any ill treatment that any indigenous person receives is a direct reflection of how they are not loving themselves, how they are not protecting themselves, how they are not setting good boundaries. So in order for us to have the change that we so desire, we must be that change. We must be that change. So it's time for us to get out of the bad relationship. And the first thing that we must do is be the observer. We must observe ourselves, and we must observe others in their treatment of us and what we actually allow, because that's always going to point us in the direction of the very things that we need to heal within us. And this is the first thing that you need to understand, is our foundation. And the foundation always sets the tone for the things that we need to heal within ourselves. So therefore, we look at it as a race of people and we look at it as a collective, then the current state of things are all the things that we said yes to in this reality. And it is up to us to begin the change. And the change begins with you. This is part 1.